Good afternoon, Dr. Stone. It's a pleasure to be here. I apologize for the quality of my camera. There seems to be some kind of issue. But nonetheless, without further ado, I'm going to talk about today a movie that I found to be very fascinating. I've been wanting to watch it for some time. It's called Requiem for a Dream. It starts with a young man stealing a television from his mother. He sells it to a pawn shop only for her to purchase it back, and it seems like this is a cycle they've been repeating. And he uses this money that he gets from the television to buy heroin, right, and other substances. As the film progresses, it looks like the main character gets into all kinds of trouble and desperate situations to make it big and try to fulfill his and his girlfriend's dream of having their own business, doing like clothing, selling clothing and stuff like that. However, substance abuse stops this. It does not allow them to fulfill their dreams, and that's where the requiem part of the title comes in. His mother also starts a diet program, which leads her to being prescribed amphetamines to lose weight. This is the '90s, so I guess they might have been doing stuff like that back then. Not much research was around for the potential bad things that can happen with doing amphetamines, right? Um, as the film reaches its final conclusion, um, every character's dream is basically destroyed by substance abuse, by this constant cycle of being unable to hit that same high because of tolerance, and then withdrawal comes in, and then they do increasingly desperate things to try to fund this just maladaptive cycle. According to research, parental attachment styles have a really strong effect on whether substance use disorder is developed in adolescent. This is displayed with the main character and his mother, who are very distant, and the father having passed away early on. He lacked that father figure in his life. This is also the same with his girlfriend, who has very distant parents. They give her all the material sources that she needs, but she doesn't have that parental love. And there's a great quote that she says in the beginning of the film. She says, "It's great, it's just money is never what I really wanted from them, you know? That's pretty much all they have to give is money. No parental attachment style, so she finds some solace with her boyfriend and substances." The symptoms in the film are portrayed very well. There's a lot of sweating going on, which is pretty common with heroin withdrawal and other opioids and just really hard drugs. You get cold sweats, you start sweating a lot, you start shaking, mood becomes completely erratic, high stress, cortisol levels with no intake of the substance. Um, and each character has their own reason for wanting to engage with the substance. Whether it's a tough childhood, lack of parental attachment, even financial conditions. Because the main character, he does this because his family is not exactly well off. His mom has an apartment, but they don't have the resources that a typical family might have. Um, and the main character exhibits quite a bit of guilt with his substance use. He hides it, which is another symptom that is backed by research. People that have a substance use disorder tend to hide how much they use and how frequent they use it, as well as some of the things they do to get that substance, right, which could be pretty bad. One of the telltale signs of it, of course, of substance use is some of the physical and psychological symptoms. Like I said, cold sweats, dilated eyes, glossy eyes, and obviously, even like marks on the wrist from injections, right? Um, Financial troubles eventually become a big problem because being able to subsidize these habits becomes increasingly more difficult as more is needed, and you're getting it off the streets, so you have to deal with some less than nice characters to get it right. I find that the film is a faithful recreation of the cycles that individuals fall into while under the influence of substance use disorder. There's a little bit of embellishment, particularly the areas where the main character, he is sent to the hospital to get treated for an infected injection site, but instead of them treating him, he just sent to prison. So I found that to be a little weird. Also, the mother, she becomes institutionalized because her use of amphetamines becomes increasingly more unhinged, and she loses sight of reality. She becomes hallucinating, has this major psychotic episode. They can't find treatment for her, so she undergoes ECT, electrocompulsive therapy, which is, I don't need to say how decisive and divisive that would be, right? It's an extreme procedure that does not have positive results. This film does a great job of humanizing these victims. Each person has their own story and reason for doing this. They're not just some evil villains or zombies or irrational actors. They're actually portrayed as human beings with problems, and it portrays how easily substance use disorder can creep into lives and become something completely unmanageable. The symptoms are pretty accurate. The withdrawal symptoms specifically, and they do just a really good job. I would recommend this film to any high school class, to learn about what addiction really is, and that it's not something that is impossible to happen. It can happen to anybody. In conclusion, the story evolves around the eventual death of each character's dreams. So Requiem for a Dream is a pretty apt name. Requiem meaning like to put souls down and let them rest, while this is Requiem of a Dream. So we're putting these dreams to rest because of substance abuse. That's how powerful it is. Each of these persons, they had their own vision in life, but they could never achieve it because of substance use disorder. I would recommend this to anybody that wants to learn about the effects of substance abuse, and it is pretty much backed up by research. Some of these symptoms, obviously, you can't explore everything about substance abuse disorder in a movie. It's an hour and a half, right? But it's a very quality film. It does not reject research. It is very grounded, and I would recommend it to anybody. Thank you, Dr. Sum.